There is a paradox hidden within the nature of power, a deception so profound that those who chase it the most fall victim to its cruelest joke. The harder you try to seize control, the more it slips through your fingers. It is the mirage of dominance, the illusion that one can truly command the forces of the world and bend them indefinitely to their will. But what if I told you that power, real power, is not something you can hold? That the moment you grasp it, you have already begun to lose it. Think of the tides. The ocean does not fight to stay within its boundaries, nor does it resist when it recedes. It flows, endlessly adapting yet always present. A leader who understands this principle will wield power effortlessly, as though it was always meant to be in their hands. But a leader who clings, who tightens their grip, who rules through fear and force, this leader will fall. The world has seen it happen over and over again, from emperors to corporate moguls, from kings to revolutionaries. Power is not a possession. It is not a throne you can sit upon without consequence. It is a current, one you must navigate, not attempt to control. Consider the greatest rulers of history. Those who held power for the longest were rarely the ones who sought it most desperately. The Roman Empire, at its height, seemed invincible. But emperors who viewed power as something they owned, a right rather than a responsibility, met the sharpest ends. Caligula, Nero, Commodus. Their reigns were brief, their falls violent. Contrast this with leaders who understood power's transient nature. Augustus, the first true emperor of Rome, ruled for over 40 years, not because he clutched power with an iron fist, but because he wielded it subtly, often in ways that made others feel as though they too had control. He mastered the art of appearing to rule rather than ruling directly, allowing senators to believe they retained influence, even as he orchestrated their every move. The lesson? The moment you declare yourself in control, you plant the seeds of your own downfall. Power must never be grasped too tightly, for it thrives in its own illusion. Some of the most powerful individuals in history never wore a crown, never sat on a throne, and never issued commands in the open. True influence is not about dictating, it is about guiding, about shaping thought without force. Consider Sun Tzu's art of war. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. The greatest generals in history won their battles before they ever stepped onto the battlefield. They understood that brute force, though effective in the short term, creates resistance. The more visible your control, the more resentment you breed, the more your power erodes from beneath you. The same applies to social power. The individual who dominates a conversation through sheer volume, who constantly reminds others of their authority, loses respect over time. But the one who listens, who plants ideas subtly, who allows others to believe they arrived at decisions themselves, that is the person who holds real power. Power is most potent when it is invisible. When people believe they are acting of their own accord, but their actions align perfectly with your intentions, you have mastered the highest form of control. History has shown us that regimes built on fear collapse the fastest. Fear is a powerful tool. It can command obedience, but it cannot command loyalty. Dictators, crime lords, and tyrants rule through the promise of punishment. But the problem with fear is that it breeds quiet rebellion, the kind that festers beneath the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Think of Stalin. He held absolute control over the Soviet Union, yet he was plagued with paranoia, convinced that his own people, his own inner circle, were plotting against him. And in truth they were. Fear breeds resentment. Resentment breeds betrayal. And betrayal is the fate of all who rule with an iron fist. Contrast this with the power of respect. Leaders who command genuine admiration rather than terror create dynasties, not dictatorships. The power that lasts is the power that does not have to remind others that it exists. Nothing lasts forever. No kingdom, no empire, no presidency, no position of authority is eternal. Even the most powerful forces in history, Napoleon's empire, the Mongol conquests, the British colonial rule, eventually faded. Not because they lacked strength, but because power is, by nature, impermanent. The greatest folly of man is believing that dominance can defy time. But time is the only true ruler. Those who resist change, who refuse to adapt, who try to hold on to power as though it were a solid object rather than a fleeting moment, always fall the hardest. But here lies the secret. Those who understand that power is fluid, who know that influence must be constantly renewed, who embrace change rather than resist it, they are the ones who remain powerful long after their reigns have ended. The greatest leaders do not cling to power. They prepare for its departure. So how does one wield power without losing it? The answer is counterintuitive. You must not seek to own it. Influence indirectly. Plant seeds rather than dictate orders. Let others believe they are in control. Or embrace impermanence. Understand that power is borrowed, not possessed. Plan for its transition rather than its permanence. Rule through respect, not fear. Fear can enforce obedience, but only respect can ensure true loyalty. Adapt constantly. The world changes and those who resist change are left behind. Power is like water. If you try to clutch it too tightly, it will slip through your fingers. But if you learn to move with it, to channel it without forcing it, it will remain in your hands effortlessly. In the end, the pursuit of control is the greatest deception of all. The moment you believe you truly have it, you have already begun to lose it. And the ones who hold on to power the longest? They are the ones who never tried to hold it at all. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment if this hit home for you. See you in the next one.